The Des Moines Register editorial board endorsed Senator Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Ann Warren. Klobuchar plans campaign rallies across Iowa despite impeachment trial. Hillicon Valley, presented by Philip Morris International. Wyden asks NSA to investigate White House cybersecurity. Commerce withdraws Huawei rule after Pentagon objects. Warren calls on Brazil to drop Greenwald charges. Warren pledges to release Trump records if elected. More for the Democratic primary nomination on Saturday evening, just shy of a week before the first in the nation caucuses in Iowa on February 3.
The endorsement comes just a week after The New York Times also endorsed Warren, along with her fellow Democratic primary challenger, Senator Amy Klobuchar. Amy Jean Klobuchar. Klobuchar plans campaign rallies across Iowa despite impeachment trial. Impeachment throws curveball in Iowa to sideline senators. Sanders says it's disappointing he's not on campaign trail in Iowa. More Min.
The Des Moines Register editorial board endorses Elizabeth Warren in the 2020 Iowa Democratic caucuses as the best leader for these times, the board wrote, before touting her views on the economy and free markets.
The senior U.S. Senator from Massachusetts is not the radical some perceive her to be. She was a registered Republican until 1996. She is a capitalist. "I love what markets can do," she said. "They are what make us rich, they are what create opportunity," it continued.
The board opined that the senator wants a government that works for people, not one corrupted by cash, the line also a main talking point for the Warren campaign.
However, the board did not agree with all of the candidates' plans for big structural change, alleging that they go too far.
This board could not endorse the wholesale overhaul of corporate governance or cumulative levels of taxation she proposes. While the board has long supported single-payer health insurance, it believes a gradual transition is the more realistic approach. But Warren is pushing in the right direction.
Despite that one qualification, the news source also pointed to Warren's career as a Harvard law professor and her work to break up big banks in the Senate. The piece also characterized Warren as a candidate who would work to defend the working class, support Medicare for all and drive new policy to address climate change.
Those ideas are not radical, the editorial read. They are right. They would improve life in America, and they are generally shared by the other Democratic candidates, who bring their own strengths to this race.
The editorial also complimented each Democratic frontrunner, saying Biden would restore credibility in the White House and, much like Warren, Bernie Sanders Sanders to Clinton, "This is not the kind of rhetoric that we need." Conservative reporter on Sanders, "He's not a yes man." Human Rights Campaign president rips Sanders's embrace of Rogan endorsement more champions the working class.
At the end of the endorsement, the newspaper remarked on Warren's resolve, saying that, "Warren has proven that she is tough and fearless," and added that she has seemingly endless energy to fight for the people of America.
Warren has often ranked in the top 4 candidates in the primary, trailing former Vice President Joe Biden. Joe Biden Schiff closes Democrats' impeachment arguments with emotional appeal to remove Trump. Conservative reporter on Sanders, "He's not a yes man." Democrats feel political momentum swinging to them on impeachment. Moore and fellow progressive Senator Bernie Sanders IVT.
However, the Sanders campaign recently locked down a number of high-profile endorsements from the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, including Reps. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez impeachment throws curveball in Iowa to sideline senators. Sanders says it's disappointing he's not on campaign trail in Iowa. The Hill's campaign report, 10 Days to Iowa More (DNY) and Pramila Jayapal. Sanders says it's disappointing he's not on campaign trail in Iowa. Sanders announces Iowa campaign swing with AOC. Michael Moore. Lawmakers introduce bill to reform controversial surveillance authorities. More (DY).
Sanders gained 7-point lead in Iowa ahead of the state's caucuses. A new poll released on Saturday showed Sanders at 25% support, followed by former Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Paul Buttigieg poll, 68% of Democrats say it makes no difference if a candidate is a billionaire. CNN to host 2 straight nights of Democratic town halls before NH primary poll shows tight general election battle between Trump and top Democrats. Moore at 18%, Biden at 17% support and Warren at 15%.
In 2016, the newspaper's editorial board endorsed Hillary Clinton. Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton. Sanders to Clinton, "This is not the kind of rhetoric that we need." Sekulow vows Biden's Ukraine will be part of Trump impeachment defense. Elizabeth Warren, more Hillary than Hillary Moore for the Democratic primary over Sanders. In the 2 elections before that, they endorsed Sens. Marco Antonio Rubio Commerce Department withdraws Huawei rule after Pentagon pushback, reports Veronica Escobar to give Spanish-language response to Trump State of the Union address. Senators press DHS over visa approval for Pensacola Naval Base shooter Moore R. Florida and Mitt Romney Willard Mitt Romney overnight defense. Veterans group seeks Trump apology for comments on brain injuries. Pentagon says dozens of troops suffered traumatic injuries after attack. Trump unveils Space Force logo. Lindsey Graham will oppose subpoena of Hunter Biden. Senators push Pentagon on Syria strategy after withdrawal uproar. Soleimani strike Moore R. Utah.
Though the paper is in the center of the primary election, their endorsement has historically shown little correlation with the success of candidates in the caucuses.